Ellen, Committie returns to comedy with his 25th stand-up performance called Live, and Let Laugh, No Time to Cry. This time around, he's focusing on stunts, espionage, intimacy, and relationships, as well as international travel and gadgets, and above all, risqué remarks. Well, Committie draws inspiration from his 25th solo stand-up show from the 25th James Bond films, 25 rather, that have been released in the last 70 years. Well, he joins us now on Zoom to tell us more. Ellen, a very good morning to you. Well, welcome to Morning Live. I mean, tell us a little bit about this new show. I love the title as it is, Live, and then Let Laugh, No Time to Cry. Tell us a little bit about the show.
Good morning. Yes, thanks so much. Yeah, it's actually Live and Let Laugh. So it's a play on the words of one of the James Bond movies, which was Live and Let Die. So two things happened. Last year was the 60th anniversary of James Bond movies, 25 James Bond movies over 60 years. And then this is also my 25th stand-up show. So I thought those two things should come together and be celebrated together. And so I've been touring the show now for about 9 months around the country. I started in Joburg almost a year ago, and I'm returning now for just 11 shows at Peter Turin's Monte Casino Theatre to share with the audiences some of my madcap humor and a take on the madness that is James Bond.
Yeah. Talk to us about that madness that is James Bond. I mean, why is it so mad?
Well, one of the things is that if you're a Bond fan, remember there were 6 James Bonds over the 60 years. So, for example, my favorite James Bond was Roger Moore, because I'm an 80s baby.
Yeah.
You're very young. You would have liked Daniel Craig as my sex. How am I doing? That's pretty good, hey?
Yes. As long as you didn't say Sean Connery, so I'm good.
Look, Sean Connery, people must get their own show, then they can decide about Sean Connery. The thing about Daniel Craig, for example, was that he was seen as the sad Bond.
Yes.
Because he couldn't find true love as the character. I think he was sad because he set the bar too high with his physique. If you remember, in his first movie, he came out of the ocean and it was very much and dun. For me, it was like looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
Don't leave it. But I think that when you've had to maintain such a strict body for 14 years, you'd be miserable too. The poor guy, what could he eat? So what I try and do is I kind of compare James Bond, who presents himself as the perfect man, always in tip-top shape. I mean, I turned 49 this year. My new goal weight is, 1 chin. That's what I would like. So how can I be a kind of James Bond in my own life? And then we look at things like, how does he maintain use of gadgets in his life? I bought shaving equipment the other day. It's got 7 blades, the Gillette blade.
Yeah.
It's a weed eater. It's not really shaving equipment at all. It's too many blades. I try and compare some of the things that we encounter in our everyday life and compare it with what James Bond does. But there's some interesting facts that people don't know. For example, when Ian Fleming, who wrote James Bond, when he created the character, he did so with his best friend, who was South African, a man called William Plomer. So we have a very strong link with 007.
I mean, why is it that we can relate so much to what James Bond does, even though he lives in this world that doesn't quite relate to who we are?
Correct. Well, I think we live vicariously through him. You see, we want our lives to be a little better. I mean, you live the exciting life. You're on television every morning. In a way, you're kind of a secret agent. But for most people, they want a little bit of excitement in their life. So that's what this show is all about. But it's also some of my own normal stand-up. I kind of look at relationships, and as you get older, for example, I'm 49 now. You forget things, not a lot of things, just one word, the name of a place, the name of a person, and then to help your partner, what you do is you find other information to help that missing word.
Yes.
But in that moment, then that information goes AWOL. So then you have to find a third piece of information. So we have conversations like this in our household. Do you remember that actress who was with the, who's the guy with the moustache who was in that cop show? Where was that? Remember we used to watch it on a Tuesday night with, man, she lived in that, what's the name of the river?
Yes.
That's the kind of conversations we have.
I, I thought I was the only one. You give clues, and you're hoping that
You have to give clues.
it's like a constant 30 seconds battle in the house to
That's
just get.
exactly what it is.
Please, just the name, and the name is just at the tip of your tongue. And
Yeah,
speak to us
exactly.
about the venues that you've selected for the upcoming shows, and why these are the best ones for the kind of audience that you're targeting.
Yeah, so I'm a theatre baby and I grew up in the theatre, and so my shows are very theatrical. They're not stand-up shows in the traditional sense where I just stand with a mic and a follow spot. They've got a big set, they've got a piece of music, there's some sketches, I do some characters. So, I started the show at Monte Casino, which has got a wonderful theatre following. We then went to Theatre on the Bay in Camps Bay in Cape Town. And then I've toured to various festivals, to smaller theatres. So they tend to be in spaces where you can have theatricality and good lighting, and the show has production value, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Now, you opened on the 6th. Tell us a little bit about what's been the response since then.
It's been such a delight and a pleasure. Thursday night was our first show back in Joburg, a lovely big house, standing ovation, people laughing and screaming. Last night was also great. We're into this, fantastic Easter weekend now. So we do 2 shows today, one at 4 o'clock. The Saturday, the late show, the 8 o'clock show is already sold out, but we have tickets for the 4 o'clock show and then a 3 o'clock matinee tomorrow. And then we've got only one more week in Joburg. So it's from Wednesday to next Sunday, and people can book at web tickets. Come along, have a great night of a little bit of James Bond, a lot of Alan Committie, and mostly some laughter and good times.
Mm-hmm. There's xylophones and porcupines and stand-up, blow-up Clio. Tell us a little bit about that. What's going on there?
Well, listen, James Bond uses a lot of props, and so do I.
Yeah.
He gets to drive beautiful supercars with gadgets. I got given a hired car, the Mahindra, where when I press the knob down from the driver's seat, the passenger knob pops up. And then when I press that down, the windscreen wiper goes on. So my car is very different. So I've started using an inflatable Renault Clio, which I blow up and I take around with me. Sometimes when you can't be James Bond, you've got to just be who you are.
Be Ellen Bond if you want. Ellen, thank you so much for talking to us. Good luck with the show going forward. Ellen Committie talking to us about his show that is currently on at the Monte Casino. He's running until the 16th of April.